Tucker Terror, favorite Slayer workout song?
Ready blood from the Lazarus sky.
Solaqua Hoan. How long would 3x5 work? This is a tough question to answer because it's impossible to predict. I don't know anything about you. How long 3x5 will work is going to depend on a number of factors. The first one being your starting point. Did you start too light? Did you start too heavy? So if you were to start too heavy, that would mean that your 3x5 was nearly, the last set was an RP 10. You did not have faith going into it that you were going to be able to do it, but you did it. It's probably too heavy on day one. You are not going to get to drag out linear progression 3x5 for very long. On the other side of that, some people start way too light when they should be starting with maybe 150 pounds for 3x5 just based on bar speed, and they're starting with 65 pounds. Or Strongless 5x5 suggests that you start with for the 45-pound bar. That's a waste of time. It's way too light. And if you do start with the 45-pound bar, you're gonna do linear progression much longer than someone who started heavier. Your responsiveness to training is going to have an impact on how long you can do it. You might be a genetic runt who just does not respond very well to training. Or you could be a genetic beast who takes 3x5 squat all the way to 405. I think that your athletic background, usually someone who's done athletics for their whole life growing up versus someone who's never done anything physically active in their life, the athlete is probably gonna be able to take it a little bit longer just because they're able and willing to beat themselves up a little bit more than someone who's never done something so hard in their entire life. Feeling brave with a brave question. Any plans on when your next bikini competition is? I don't know yet.
Yet.
JCY340804, do you suggest if you're squatting twice a week that one session should be heavy day and one should be a light day? I think that that's all relative to what you're comparing heavy and light to. A set of 5 is going to be heavy compared to a set of 10. I will compare it to my own programming. And I have one competition, let's say squat. Let's say I have a competition squat day and then a variation squat day, a pause squat day. Now, for the competition squat, it is always going to be heavier than the variation in absolute terms. So weight on the bar for comp squat is always going to be heavier than my pause squat or my tempo squat or my pin squat. So heavy, light. But with that said, the intensity for the variation is usually higher than the comp squat, even though the absolute weight on the bar for comp squat is heavier. Let me explain. I might do 455 comp squat for sets of 5 reps at RPE 7. And then I do some pause squats with 405, 5 reps, maybe at RPE 8 or 9. So on my comp squat day, the absolute weight is heavier, 455 versus 405. But the intensity for my variation is actually higher than my comp squat. So, did that confuse you or what? Johnny Hollisworth, everyone is talking about the vertical diet at the moment. I'd love to hear your Untamed thoughts. Man, at my last powerlifting meet, I can't tell you how many people I saw, spectators and competitors, sitting there with their Tupperware, eating rice, ground beef, and a couple of carrots, right? First off, I don't even really know what the vertical diet is, other than rice, white rice, steak, or ground beef, and carrots. And apparently there's like some micronutrients you get from fruit, and then you just eat as much of this rice and beef as you want. So I can't form an opinion on it because I really don't know what it is. But this is what I'll say. If I think the #1 thing that makes a diet work is compliance. And if someone really buys into this vertical diet and they eat more or less, whatever their goals are, and they see results from it, excellent, that's great. That's a good diet. It's the same with the training program. Writing the optimal training program does not work if they are not going to follow it. If they don't have time to follow it, if they don't buy into it. So you might have to make some adjustments in order for them to buy in and actually do it. There you go. Somali linen. When should one use knee straps? I think you mean knee wraps for squats, if at all. I don't think you should use knee wraps unless you are competing in a competition and you plan on using knee wraps. Raw with wraps. And if you are, in my experience, I would probably do my competition squat in knee wraps. I say in my experience, but I've never even used wraps. And then I would do sleeves for my variation lifts, mainly because I don't always have people in here to wrap my knees. I don't want to wrap my knees because it looks miserable. But once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on how many times you're squatting. But if you're not planning on competing in powerlifting meet, don't use knee wraps. Just knee sleeves is fine. John A. Carter 2. Carter 2. That a Lil Wayne album. What is the best way to evaluate a strength coach? I think that you need to look at, are they doing what you would like to be doing? Are they coaching other people? Have their clients found success? And, well, we'll just leave with those two. We'll start with those two. So I think that when you look at a coach, what I mean is, are they doing what you want to be doing? Do their lifts look like what you strive your lifts to look like for?
Lifts to look like for. Lifts to look like for.
What I mean is, I would probably not reach out to Dave Hoff for coaching. Nothing against Dave Hoff. He's one of the strongest guys in the world. But I don't want to do a wide stance, high bar, box squat in a suit with bands and chains out of a monolift. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to reach out to him for that kind of programming. So that's what I mean by, are they doing what you would like to be doing? And then again, are they coaching people? And I think to leave you with three things. The third thing would be, are they a people person? Can they articulate programming? Can they talk to you? You know, you could be a big, dumb, juiced meathead. If you can't talk to people, or if you can't form a relationship with someone, probably not the best coach. And if you don't think you can get along with them, I would not reach out to them for coaching. The AK Bars 98. Does Polka know she's a good girl? Polka is a good girl. Jay Fox, what is the minimum volume, intensity, frequency recommended for a lift if the goal is simply to maintain strength? Come on, Jay. Look, I don't like when people say, I just want to maintain my strength. Oh no, my lifts are going up. Damn it, I'm trying to maintain. I'm not trying to get strong. I don't want to get too strong. My lifts just keep going up. Something's going on here. So, I don't know, man. Sorry to be an asshole. The reason would be, or the answer would be, it depends on what you're doing right now. If you're doing 3 sets of 5 once a week, your minimum effective dosage is going to be different than someone who's doing 6 sets of 5 3 times a week, right? So it differs from person to person. But maintain, just get on a good program and you can make progress. Omar Carino 93, do you think it's absolutely necessary to sleep 8 hours to make strength gains? I work a full-time job, photography business, studying to become an Android developer. I usually get 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Do you think I'm wasting my time powerlifting? Absolutely not. What are you gonna do? Not train? People will come to me with their situation and they'll kind of put my back against a wall and say, Alan, I've got this many kids, I've got a new job, I work 2 jobs, right? I get home really late, I've got to take care of my family, and I don't have that long to sleep, you know? And then I have to find time to train. What are you gonna do? 6 to 7 hours is plenty for sleep. Just make the best of your situation. If, you know, what did you expect me to say? Oh, if you can't get 8 hours, don't even bother training, right? You'll be all right, Omar. 2 New York chalupas is what I'll call you. What were your 1 rep maxes when you started focusing on increasing squat, bench, deadlift, overhead? Since I started working with Austin, I'm assuming is what you're asking. My bench was 305 touch and go, I just did a 341 pause in competition. My squat went from 510 to 551, and my deadlift went from 518 to 600. And my press went from like 200 to 240. Stephen Knox, what is your take on deload weeks, and when do you think they're appropriate? I made a video about it, so go check that video out. I don't like doing deload weeks. I call them low stress weeks. And when I say I mean Austin, because I learned this from him. So rather than taking a week where you do some 40%, 50%, 60%, 5-5-5, that's just not training, is all it is. Let's just take a week of not training. I like to manipulate volume rather than intensity. So if I'm doing 1 set at 8 and then 5 sets of 5 at RPE 8, my low stress week might be 1 set of 8 and then 2 sets of 5 at RPE 8. So I'm not actually deloading any weight off the bar, which is why it's not called a deload week. It's called a low stress week. I think that 5 through 1 has really popularized deload weeks, and doing a deload week every 4 weeks is stupid. Do not do that. To give you an answer, it depends, but I don't know, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks you could do a low stress week. Doing a deload week, also for me, when I would just do a week of like not training, when I'd come back in the gym, I would get sore all over again. And it was really hard to go from putting 250 on my back to getting back in the gym and putting 450 on my back. But if I just maintain that intensity all the way through, drop the volume a little bit, it's much better. In the barrio, how would you respond to people who criticize the layback and the press as being dangerous or otherwise? Personally, I love the press and utilize the layback, but realize I don't have a good response for people who shit on it. Don't listen to them. You don't have to explain it. It's fine. Keep doing the layback. Actually, the best answer would be just press more than them. Just get your press way up above theirs, and then they won't criticize your layback. They'll be like, dude, how are you pressing so much? Abraham L., what do you recommend for fixed hitching when pulling heavy? So a hitch is where you pull the bar up to your knees, and then you rebend your knees, pushing them forward, and kind of slide up your body, ramp the bar up your body, like create a ramp with your thighs and slide it up your body. To fix that, one, you need to maybe drop the weight so that you can do your reps over and over and over, day after day, without hitching, so that you've just ingrained in your mind that I don't hitch, no more hitching. But what I would say is continue pushing your feet through the floor. So if you think about it, as you're standing up, once the bar passes your knees, you actually rebend your knees because you push them forward. So it's this double knee bend or this second knee bend. If you're thinking about pushing your feet through the floor the whole time, and you're thinking about keeping your shoulders over the bar for a little bit longer, if you're pushing your feet through the floor, you are extending your knee and you're fighting the urge to rebend your knee. So push your feet through the floor, keep your shoulders over the bar for a little bit longer. Don't ever stop pushing with your legs, because the second you bend your knees, again, halfway through the lift, you're not using your legs. When you pin squat, bench squat, or overhead, do you completely let off the weight or keep pressure on the bar? Both. A pin squat, for example, you do not go down and bounce off the pins, okay? I've seen my clients do this. It is not a bounce off the pins. The same way the rack pull is not a touch and go deadlift off the pins, and the bench is the same. You have to pause on the pins. The bar, the pins should be taking most of the weight off the bar. But with that said, a cue that helps me is to stay connected to the bar, especially for, well, pin squats and pin bench. When I squat down and the weight sets on the pins, I stop moving. I don't relax and then push, hit the bar and stand up, right? So stay connected to the bar, stay tight against the bar. But the weight should rest on the pins. Pause on the pins, don't relax. Lucas G. Diaz, does inscription on plates matter when loading the barbell? I've read that by competition rules, first should have inscription looking inside at every plate. No, it does not matter. But what I do the same way that's done in competition. The very first plate, no matter what plate it is, a 10, a 25, a 45. First plate, the inscription, as you say, would be in, and then the outside would be smooth. All the other plates from there face outside. First plate in, all the other plates out. And that's how they do it in competition. gurrrl 15, I have a habit of my heels coming off the floor when I squat. Is this bad? Yes, it is. If so, what am I doing wrong? How can I fix it? So if your heels are coming off the ground, that means your weight is going under your toes. So the weight is getting forward. There are a number of things that could be causing the bar to be going forward. You might be doing a low bar squat and the bar is high up on your neck in a high bar position. You might be pushing your knees a little too far forward, so you might want to go with toes out, knees out, maybe a little bit wider stance. But one thing that will absolutely help you is, now that you're aware of where your balance is, you say, my heels are coming up, I'm on my toes. You need to consciously think about keeping your weight back towards your heels. As you squat, sit your weight back towards your heels. Now, obviously I don't want you to squat on your heels so much that your toes come off the floor, but if you're on your toes, thinking about cueing yourself to squat on your heels is an over cue that might bring your balance to mid-foot. So think about squatting onto your heels, and that'll probably fix your problem. Zach Mofi, Untamed Strength, was the workout you did for Real World Tactical worse than anything you did in the Marine Corps? And if it wasn't, what's the most grueling workout you did? So a little backstory on that. I was playing. So Mark Bell texts me and he says, hey, yo, I got Real World Tactical coming in. Can you bring over some strongman equipment? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. Not realizing that those tools would be used to kill me. And so I bring a bunch of stuff over. I load up my truck and bring stuff over to Super Training. And they're like, oh, Real World Tactical's here. Hey, Alan, you want to do like a demo video with him? Yeah, sure. Didn't know it was going to be a goddamn workout. And so Real World Tactical is for like 30 minutes writing down just everything he could think of to kill us. And so that was shitty. I like walked into that not realizing, oh, I have to work out today. And I was just not in the mood. Then it sucked. Camera was on, so I was not gonna quit, but it was so shitty. No, it was not the worst thing. I would say that in the Marine Corps, worse than boot camp, worse than any training I did in my unit or School of Infantry, it was hands down CDS, Ceremonial Drill School as a body bearer, was way worse than that workout. It was like doing that workout multiple times a day, every day for 4 months. Just getting thrashed to the point where you like want to cry. I remember you get hazed down in a parking garage, and I remember when at one point it was just me in Ceremonial Drill School. Usually you're with a number of other potential body bearers, but it was just me for probably a month. And so all these body bearers every morning would just come down to the LP, the lower parking garage, and they would just tell me to do all kinds of shit. It was so miserable. And when I was done with one of the workouts, they leave, I have to clean up and then grab my gallon of water that I had to carry around. It was like halfway full. I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't pick up my half-filled gallon of water. So I knocked the cap off and I kicked it over and let the water pour out. And then I like grabbed the empty milk jug. So Ceremonial Drill School workouts were much worse than a Real World Tactical workout. Wayne Ryan, Alan, Spotify has an Alan Thrall channel with what seems to be your music. Is that really you? No, it's not mine. I don't have a Spotify playlist. Crazy Frog Cheesin', what was your favorite memory about being in the presidential program? A memory that stands out to me, I cannot share on this YouTube video that's gonna get thousands of views. But I would probably say, I think meeting Barack Obama for the first time was really cool. Getting to take my dad into the Oval Office and take pictures with the president was really cool. A Blassery, did you weightlift in high school or play sports anytime in your life? I played football and ran track and field. And yes, we did lift weights. My high school coach was a lineman from Kansas State, and he actually knew what he was doing somewhat with exercise selection. Maybe not really programming, but well, kinda. We would do squats, front squats, cleans, bench, push press, and sprints. We would do that all the time. every day. We would just rotate through that, and that's all we really did. We never did deadlifts. So pretty good for a high school football coach. And he would always get on us about deep squats. If we weren't squatting deep, he'd yell at us. Mitten, Joshua, what model of truck are you gonna buy next? I bought an F-150, and I love it. It's a really nice truck. Okay, I think I'm about done here. Okay, last question comes from Dante20. Hey Alan, 2 questions. Last 2 questions. Do you have any tips to motivate yourself for training if you're feeling down or generally unmotivated? Do you have any recommendations for programming around a physically demanding job? Or should I just program the same? I often feel, what'd you say? Generally unmotivated. So I do have busy days, just like all of you, and training is not always at the top of my head. But what I've done, what I've got a lot better at, thanks to Austin, is improved my mental game. If I'm having these negative thoughts during the day, like, oh shit, training today. Oh no, I got squats today. Oh, I don't feel like training. I squash that shit right away. Don't let it sink in. When I have these negative thoughts, I immediately try to get them out of my head, right? And I just focus on my goals. If I have a powerlifting meetup, I focus on what I want to accomplish. If I have a goal of, I really want to pull 600 pounds, right? And I tell myself that today's workout, if I crush today's workout, crush it meaning I just do my best, that will get me to 600. And I tell myself that every single day. So you just have to be aware. Don't just step out for a second, look at your thoughts, right? Get rid of all the negative ones. And then during training, I just try my best to focus on the task at hand. I don't worry about my to-do list. I don't worry about clients later on. I don't worry about bills I have to pay, what I have going on this weekend or the past weekend. I just focus on this training session. I focus on these squats, this set, right? That's all I care about. In a way, it's kind of like meditating. When you meditate, right, and you clear your mind of all your thoughts. And you just focus on one thing. Maybe you focus on your breathing, that's it, right? That's kind of what I try to do during my training sessions. Just focus on the task at hand. And I just try not to be emotional about everything and say, oh, training, I don't feel like it. Doesn't matter if I don't feel like it. I need to do it, so I do it. I just put emotions to the side. And it's something that you need to practice. Not gonna be very good at it right away, but you need to practice. And recommendations for programming around a physically demanding job, RPE. I'm selling RPE. RPE, you need to write me a check because I'm promoting you all the time. As long as you're staying within the RPE prescribed for the day, you're good. If you've had a very long, taxing day, you didn't eat much, you didn't sleep well, as long as you're following the RPE, that's all that matters right now, okay? So if weight on the bar has to drop a little bit for you to maintain an RPE 8, so be it. It is tough if you stick to a linear progression where you have to get 5 pounds more than last session or you are a failure. You have to do 75% for a max rep set and do better than you did last time. You don't need to worry about that stuff. Just focus on the RPE. If you're not good at RPE, start now. You'll be better sooner. That's it, guys. This video is really long. It's going to be a while till I edit it. Thanks for watching, and always remember,
Untamed.